There's a lot I want to say about this week. I really appreciate the support. I have to give it up, first of all, to the fans, to support wrestling 52 weeks a year, to have this be the only sport in the world, professional wrestling, that goes 52 weeks a year. It's already amazing. And with AEW, I think we've built a really great schedule where we do this 52 weeks a year with no breaks. But to have something like this week where across Wednesday Night Dynamite, Collision normally on a Saturday like today was on Thursday. We had a great pay-per-view last night with ROH Supercard, and I think our best event ever today here at AEW All in Texas, our most lucrative, our most fans we've ever had in America, the biggest gate, and I think the best show, certainly the best ending, a very fitting moment, and a very deserving champion, a lot of great deserving champions up here on this stage, and great things about this show and about AEW in 2025. I would be remiss before we get into the questions, because I want to hear what you have to say. Please, I would just like to get out there. I'm very grateful to all the wrestlers on the show. I'm very grateful to the fans, like I said, supporting wrestling 52 weeks a year, and especially everybody who watched any of the past 4 days, and particularly all of them, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and most of all today, Saturday. I'm excited to see you all Wednesday. It means a lot for me to go back to Chicago and to have AEW Dynamite and have these great shows there. It's very near and dear to me, close to where I grew up, and home to me, Chicago, Illinois. I have so many great things to say about the people that were on the stage with me and all the great wrestlers. In addition to the fans who support wrestling, we wouldn't be able to do this without the wrestlers, and I want to talk about them a lot. I'm also very grateful to the staff, somebody that it's really important to talk about. It wouldn't be possible to do wrestling 52 weeks a year, or particularly 4 straight nights of the biggest week of the year for AEW when we're having such a great year. It's not possible to have a 2025 like AEW's having without the staff, the people in front of the camera and the people behind the camera. They were just doing a great job this week, and I think a lot of you saw that firsthand. So thank you. Thank you. You don't have to do that. And I don't ask for that. You don't have to applaud in our press conferences, but I appreciate you doing that. And you're very kind to be here supporting the show. I'm excited to talk to you. It would not be possible also, frankly, in addition to the wrestlers who do this year-round and the staff and, of course, the fans, it wouldn't be possible without the great media who cover us. A lot of you have been covering AEW since we launched over 6 years ago. It means a lot to see so many of you today. We started the pay-per-view early today, so normally we'd be here at the scrum later, so I can try even more so than usual. I always do try, and I'll try to give 110% today and answer as many of your questions as I can. But I would be also remiss before I start if I didn't say it was a great day. The fans have wanted to see a hero in AEW rise up, and it was very fitting to have AEW's anxious millennial cowboy, our great star, somebody who's been aspiring to this moment for so long, and somebody who's been in AEW since day one, and a focus of AEW since day one, to be the focus of that great moment, to have the cowboy win the Texas Death Match here at AEW All in Texas, our biggest stage possible. It was really special, and I would also be remiss if I didn't thank the 6-time world champion, the 4-time AEW world champion, Jon Moxley, who's also been here since the first show. And whether you agree with everything he did or not, he's been one of the most important people ever in AEW. He has done so many great things for AEW, even though he kept the championship in the briefcase, and he pushed people way too far, and he crossed the line many times, crossed the line with people I love, including Bryan Danielson, crossed the line as champion. You can question the methods, but I think Jon Moxley made AEW better as the champion. AEW is having a great 2025, and until this afternoon, until this evening, for the entirety of 2025, the world champion has been Jon Moxley. I think he pushed people, but he also made people better. I feel like in 2025 with Jon Moxley there every week, which if you notice, Jon Moxley is on Dynamite and Collision almost every single week. He's at all the shows, which I really respect, because I've been at every show ever, and every Dynamite and every Collision ever. So to see somebody else coming every week and even if you don't agree with the example he sets in the ring, he sets a great example as a pro wrestler. He's one of the hardest working people. Look at the condition he's in and has continued through the hardest hitting matches, the kind of punishment he's been through, a match like tonight, and all the great matches along the way. And it's like Hangman said, everybody in the company tried, everybody tried to topple Mox, and he did a lot of things to make AEW better in the end, and I think we're all better off for Jon Moxley having been the champion, and that is what allowed us to have such a incredible conclusion to a very special day here in AEW, and I think a special day for the wrestling fans, and I know for our staff and our wrestlers, and hopefully for some of you, even though I know you get paid to cover wrestling, I have a feeling a lot of you are wrestling fans, so you don't have to say it, I'm not asking for it, but I hope you enjoyed it. And now I get to hear what you think and answer your questions, so thank you for giving me that. And now we're into the solo tone zone with you, the wrestling media.
Hey Tony, John Alba,
Hey, John.
Takedown on SI. Congratulations, great event. I think a lot of us who have been covering pro wrestling for a long time know that Adam Cole is one of the true good guys of the industry as a human being. Clearly a sensitive situation, and I recognize that, but what kind of insight can you provide on where things currently stand with him and how you went about making some of the decisions today?
Well, Adam Cole's been very, very important since he arrived at AEW All Out 2021. Along with today, I think that's one of the best events we've ever had, and Adam Cole's arrival was a major moment in AEW, and then he's done so many great things. He main evented the first AEW All-In at Wembley Stadium, and he's really a great person. I agree with everything you said. Adam Cole's a great human being, but he's a great wrestler. He cares about wrestling, and the people in wrestling, the people in the locker room love him, and the fans love Adam Cole. So I think that was really hard to hear for everybody. It was hard for me to have a conversation like that, but I fully support his decision to take some time, and I felt like the right thing to do would be to vacate the championship and to give Adam Cole time off, but also to give Adam Cole the time to talk to the fans tonight. So it involves some changes, and yesterday we were absolutely planning, even last night when I was at ROH Supercard of Honor, planning for the pay-per-view. We had absolutely put everything in place for Adam Cole to defend the championship against Kyle Fletcher. Adam Cole's been a focus of AEW in 2025, and in Collision almost every single week I think this year we've seen Adam Cole, and I was really looking forward to Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole for the championship tonight. And coming out of Collision, of course, we had a great six-man tag match. It was a trios match with Kyle Fletcher and RPG Vice, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta versus the Paragon. Paragon of Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole. And the trios match, coming out of it, Adam Cole, he came back, we talked. He was definitely planning to be at the pay-per-view, and even yesterday we had talked, but very, somewhere between late last night and early this morning, let's say, earlier this morning, we talked, and he just wasn't feeling well, and that's the unpredictable nature of some of these kinds of injuries, and I think it's really important Adam Cole takes the time to get right, because he's a great figure in AEW. He's been a great TNT champion. He won the first ever One Heart Foundation tournament with Double or Nothing. He's been a great champion in Ring of Honor and all over the world, and like Adam Cole has said himself, almost every company he's been in, he's been a top guy in front of the camera, but also I think those of us who work in wrestling know also a top guy in almost, I think it's fair to say, over the last 15 plus years, every locker room Adam Cole's been in. He's been one of the most respected, revered people, so it was certainly hard for us to hear that, but I spent the night thinking about how to address it, and I felt like the fans did deserve to see the TNT title defended. And I think given the emotional nature that we weren't expecting of Adam Cole going out and speaking from the heart and giving his honest feelings that he just needs to take some time. We don't know when he'll be able to wrestle or when he'll be able to speak to the fans again, but I just wanted him to take some time and just get, the right thing to do for him was for him to vacate the title and just talk to the people and have that moment with the fans, because the fans all over the world have a great connection with Adam Cole. I mean, we just saw Adam Cole as the TNT champion in Grand Slam Mexico, what a great reaction in Arena Mexico for Adam Cole. And it was the first time AEW has been there with Adam Cole, and to see the fans knew the boom and the bebe, and that Adam Cole was so popular in a new environment for AEW. He's one of the stars that the people wanted to see when they came there. And I think when you think of AEW, Adam Cole really is one of the people that's beloved by the fans, and somebody associated with AEW for the past almost 4 years he's been here. So it was really hard. And I knew, given the emotional nature, and frankly it would be hard to hear for a lot of people, and some sad emotions, I wanted to give the people an opportunity to have a match, and it worked out. It was to have a storybook moment. Thankfully, Dustin was able to pull it out, and it's pretty incredible to have Dustin at this point. 3 matches in 24 hours across multiple promotions, multiple kinds of matches, and it made a lot of sense. Dustin in there with 2 former TNT champions, and the #1 contender. Kyle Fletcher had gone out and wrestled Daniel Garcia in the main event of Collision 100, and they had both confronted Adam Cole at the beginning of Collision 100. It was a great show, a great event. Adam Cole, throughout this entire 2025, has been basically on Collision every week, wrestling, singles, tag matches, trios with the Paragon, commentating, just about everything you could ask for, and we all really believe in him. And when I heard he was out, I wanted to give the fans a great match, and it made sense to have the #1 contender go out and fight a former champion who's been in the mix, the person Cole defeated for the title, give Daniel Garcia another chance on the big pay-per-view stage, to have Sammy Guevara, a 3-time TNT champion, who won $100,000 four-way and has re-entered AEW recently, but also been reinvented as a tag team champion with Dustin Rhodes. And then, of course, Dustin Rhodes, who, like I said, I mentioned it before, but just to reiterate, Dustin Rhodes has been so close so many times, and I'm very cognizant of that. Just to reiterate, Dustin Rhodes had close calls. He had close calls in the original TNT. He was in the semifinals to be the first ever TNT champion. And as I said, it was in April 2020 when we were crowning the first champion. I think that was probably the last time Dustin wrestled 3 matches in 24 hours. Because like I said, he had the match with 8 and 9 on Wednesday night, and then he had wrestled Kip in the first round, but then of course Lance Archer went to the finals at Dustin's expense. Cody almost threw in the towel on Dustin then, and Dustin wanted to fight on, and he fought and had a great semifinal match. And then he got even closer to the title. He wrestled Mr. Brody Lee in September of 2020 in Daly's place in a great championship match with maybe the greatest TNT champion I think ever, Mr. Brody Lee, who had a very special run that Dustin was a part of then, with a great match in September 2020, I believe right after All Out 2020. And then we had, of course, Dustin and Sammy, partners, Sammy being in this match. Sammy at Battle of the Belts in Charlotte 2022 was able to advance and then become the TNT champion after winning the interim match to win the interim title at Battle of the Belts in Charlotte. And then Dustin, again, against Christian Cage last January, was so close to winning the TNT title. He's come close so many times. So I wanted to give him that opportunity, and then Dustin went out and created that magic, and I think it was really cool that we were able to bring so much positive emotion from the fans and from so many people all over the world, and find that amazing silver lining in what was really challenging emotions, to have somebody that's so respected by the fans and all the staff and everyone who works in wrestling, and in our locker room, all the wrestlers, and really wrestlers all over the world. So I think that worked out really well, and Dustin Rhodes captured a storybook moment for the fans, and we really made a fantastic, wonderful, historic, beautiful lemonade out of really challenging lemons. And I echo Hangman's statements about if Hangman said he slept 8 hours in 4 days, I believe me, I've slept a lot less than, so I believe I'm right there with him. And but I haven't been through what he went through, and not even close to it. It's really amazing what Hangman was able to put himself through and do for AEW. But there's another Adam I wanted to wish my best to, and another great champion for AEW we all love very much, and that's Adam Cole.
You made the decision to step away, you said?
We talked last night, and I think it was pretty much when we talked, and it felt, I think it was, both of us immediately reached the conclusion this makes a lot of sense, when he was not feeling right to go out for this, on this big moment. He, believe me, he's one of the greatest pro wrestlers in the world. He knows it's not, we both know it's not good. He doesn't feel very well if he's not able to go out and wrestle a championship match on the biggest show that AEW's ever done in North America, and we're having this great year, and he's been a huge part of it, coming here every week. And after what he'd been through, being such a huge part of AEW, and then watching us really have this great year, and him being a part of it, and being part of the team every week again, that's been one of the real highlights for us backstage as a company, and for the fans to see Adam Cole again. So it is hard, but again, we were able to get some great emotion after that with Dustin Rhodes, and there's so many great emotions throughout the night. So a lot of positives, even though there were some hard things too, and that's what wrestling's about, right? There's hard moments and there's great moments, but Adam Cole is going to be around, and he's a big part of AEW, and hopefully he'll be here forever. I just don't know when the next time he'll be wrestling is, but he's definitely still part of the team and the family here with us. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Okay, more questions for Tony?
Hi, Tony. Will Perot from ProWrestling.net. Seeing the Hangman Page kind of saga culminate tonight, and also the Death Riders, the Jon Moxley losing the title, I wanted to know, how far in advance do you think about things like, do you think about long-term story arcs, say All In to All In AEW, and what kind of planning goes into that for you?
This is certainly something I could have imagined last year at All In, that this would have been, but who knows? I mean, it has to play out. Everyone has to step up and play their part. You can just like in football, it's great to draw things up on a piece of paper, but the players have to go out and execute, and a lot of times then things happen, and you call audibles in football. People go out there, there's injuries, there's unpredictability, you think somebody's going to zig and they zag, so then you have to do the opposite of what you might have thought you were going to do. But in this case, this is one of those times where I really think that when we were at All In last year, and knowing that Bryan Danielson had that amazing moment, I sat on the stage at All In last year in Wembley Stadium in London, and that was a great day, and it was a totally different kind of emotion, and the company was in a different place, and right now it feels very special because the company's having this amazing year. This is a real high point for us, but also looking back, if Bryan had to step away, it's great Bryan reached the highest heights, but also that the way Bryan was taken out, if you look back, it really got the company to a great place. Like I said, there were a lot of things that were hard. You may not have agreed with Jon Moxley's tactics as the champion, or the way he treated the locker room, and beat up a lot of the wrestlers, and really is one of the most brutal pro wrestlers, as you saw, the kind of brutality and the kind of lengths he was willing to go to time and time again to dominate the company, but also we all got better with Jon Moxley as the champion. AEW got better with Jon Moxley as the champion, so I take my hat off to him. But at the same time, if, again, positives you can take from something hard, if Bryan Danielson had to step away from wrestling after that championship match and what Mox did to him, and after it broke up their wrestling family, then it's a really positive thing. And where we've gotten here at All In Texas, to have that Texas death match be the culmination, and that's a special thing about wrestling, when your imagination can play out, but that's what's, like Hangman said, nothing can prepare you for what this kind of competition is. So believe me, whether it was in the pandemic or like John was asking me about today with Adam Cole, who had a great series of matches in 2025, and also has been a big part of the shows week in, week out, every week on Collision, and a lot of the Dynamites too. And like I said, went down to Mexico and was part of our biggest show of the year, Grand Slam Mexico. Certainly nobody predicted even 24 hours ago that Adam Cole wouldn't be defending the TNT Championship tonight, or that Dustin Rhodes would be the TNT Champion. So there's a lot of changes and things happen. But I also gave some thoughts earlier this week, and I think it was an interesting point actually to bring up, because I haven't used the analogy as much, but it's frankly a great comparison in sports. When you have a great deep team, it's important to remember there's only so many spots. In football, you're using 11 players at a time. In basketball, there's 5 players in a shift. There's individual sports, but there's playing time, and not everybody on the team is always on the floor, is on the pitch, is on the field at every snap or every play of every game. And it's important to remember, as things happen, as the roles change, as people get injured, as people need breaks, as the flow changes, as you read things and realize you want to change something from your original plan, things change, and It's always great when you can have a long-term vision, but it's also important to be able, I think, to follow things week to week to week, especially in an era where wrestling television, 104 episodes of Wednesday Night Dynamite and Saturday Night Collision, and the partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery, and putting the shows on 52 weeks a year with great wrestling and compelling rivalries and the best wrestling and the best wrestlers in the world. That's very important, and that media partnership and doing that twice a week, 52 weeks a year, truly is a lifeblood that makes it possible to reach these kind of tentpole major events, like the biggest stage, AEW All In, and it's a collaborative, complementary relationship between doing 52 weeks a year of television and to get to these moments, because we've been talking about All In Texas for so many months, and building and building and building to All In Texas, and I think we did a great job as a company, as a group, making this feel like the culmination of something really special, and then everyone came together to achieve it. Hangman, front and center, is the face of it, is the quarterback who made it happen, and everybody, including the fans, are the team who played a huge part in it, and of course the locker room, and again, I have to take my hats off to Hangman's competitor, who is the most decorated champion in AEW's history, and the first man ever to hold the IWGP World Title, the WWE World Title, and the AEW World Title, the most decorated, prestigious champion ever here in AEW, Jon Moxley. Thank you.
Hello, Tony. Jorge Cervera with Lucha Libre Online. I want to ask you 2 questions
Sure.
every week.
Okay.
You got this great partnership relation with the CMLL, so I would like to know, in your opinion, how important is the culture of the Lucha Libre into AEW, and if it's possible to have a show talking about Latin America, maybe on Chile, Puerto Rico, because it was a great success, the show at Mexico with the CMLL at Arena Mexico, so it's possible?
I hope we can continue visiting new territories, but I know that we're taking it one step at a time, and this was a major step for the company. One of the real highlights of the year, this has certainly been the culmination and a real highlight, but one of the most important parts of the year, and certainly one of the most successful nights ever, and one of the biggest dynamites and one of my favorite nights is Grand Slam Mexico. And I want to go back to Arena Mexico. I think Grand Slam Mexico, we can hopefully, if they'll have us, and it sounds like from talking to Salvador, he will have us back in the Cathedral of Lucha Libre, CMLL's home, Arena Mexico. They were such great hosts to AEW, and it showed that they're such great partners and hosts, but also the kind of collaboration and the synergies and the quality of the partnership and the show that we put on. AEW working with CMLL in Arena Mexico to put on Wednesday Night Dynamite for the first time ever, put on an AEW show for the first time ever in Mexico working with CMLL. The response and the fact that it was the biggest Dynamite viewership in a year, and in some of the key demographics that the network looks at a year and a half, it really speaks. And that was in a time where we were not simulcasting, which is such a huge part of this now, which has made it possible to grow and expand even more. That Dynamite is still a huge part of Wednesday night every week on TBS and Saturday night every week on TNT, but the show is now streaming on HBO Max every week. That number, that's the best number we've done on TBS or any channel in a really long time, but it's also, frankly, in a time when we weren't simulcasting, we didn't have the streaming audience. So when you look at everything together, I don't have all the streaming figures. I honestly don't know the exact number, but I know that it had to be the most people watching the show in a very, very long time. And that shows that there's interest in AEW and working with CMLL, the partnership we have. I love Lucha Libre, and I'm very happy. I mentioned before when we were with Don and Okada that it was a dream come true to even have the video for the video packages with Okada and Kenny. I'm a big CMLL fan. It's really cool to work with them. We didn't have that relationship. It really came a couple years ago, and it's built and built. And Salvador and I, we did a Zoom in 2023, and AEW's having this great 2025, and all these seeds we planted, even though not every single thing we did over the past few years, not every single thing is always going to work. Nobody bats 1,000, but all the seeds we planted have grown and bloomed so many great things. One of the great things is the relationship with CMLL. So to be able to put that show on, and for Salvador to tell me he wants to have us back, hopefully we can do Grand Slam Mexico again. And I think it can be a success again. It was already one of the biggest successes we've had. But as, you know, as a big fan of Lucha Libre, I'll spare you coming up here and saying all the names of my favorite wrestlers from CMLL in the early 2000s. But when Mystico was on top before he departed, that's really the era, the whole 2002, 2001, 2002 to kind of 2010 was when I was a huge CMLL fan. I followed it too then after, but Mystico is one of my all-time favorites. He was such a huge star, and to have Mystico be a part of the AEW presentation, part of our AEW All In, go to Arena Mexico and embrace him like the kind of iconic star he is, and then bring in a lot of the top stars in Lucha Libre from CMLL that we've worked with, like Mascara Dorada, Atlantis Jr., of course, and Mystico, Persephone, La Catalina, and so many others. You know, it's just been great, but also to have AEW's top stars go to Arena Mexico and do very, very well. We've seen so many great stars. Earlier, you know, last year we saw the BCC go down there with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley and Claudio. Matt Sydal was there. And then they had a great showing, but now in more recent shows, we've seen Mercedes Moné at Grand Slam capture the CMLL World Championship and now be a more active part of our team down there. MJF is the American champion down there, and MJF's got some personal rivalries down there now, and a lot of history in CMLL he's built as a really hated Rudo. And certainly for AEW, it's really cool. First of all, for me, before I get to his partner in this great match that I'm about to talk about, but also winning 4 million pesos at Grand Slam Mexico, and that's Hologram, who's undefeated in AEW and has also made a great impression now in CMLL and really grown his career and one of the rising stars in Lucha Libre. To have somebody that worked on the Hologram gimmick and have them go to Arena Mexico and be a part of a match like Mystico and Mascara Dorada versus Hologram and Bandito, that was such a fantastic match, so that was special. And then I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito. I know I posted the photo with him in Salvador, but this is for Bandito to go and have the kind of matches he's having. Because let's really look at Bandito just in recent weeks, okay? First of all, what a rivalry, Bandito and Takeshita. And I also think, you know, you have to look at the budgets of the shows, because we have hundreds of millions of dollars in the AEW TV contract across Dynamite and Collision. That for what we do on Ring of Honor, the big pay-per-view tentpoles, they always deliver, and I think this was maybe the best show yet, and it culminated in maybe the best Ring of Honor title match I've ever seen. Certainly for the men's world title, and the time I've owned it, I think Bandito versus Takeshita was just fantastic. I have so many great things to say about both of them. We're wishing Takeshita the best of luck competing in the G1. But to have Bandito go and do the things, and what I'm about to say about the TV is I think this year they've been really standout Ring of Honor TV shows. So for the people who watch it, you know, we do the show not necessarily live every week, but there have been some great episodes. I thought the Global Wars Australia was a very, very good show, and then I thought Global Wars Mexico was one of the best Ring of Honor television shows they've ever done, with one of the best championship matches in the history of Ring of Honor. There also Bandito versus Mascara Dorada. But even incorporating the AEW television into the Ring of Honor, we saw Athena and Thunder Rosa have really built their rivalry, and a lot of the matches that kind of helped, I think, build some of the anticipation for the Women's Casino Gauntlet match. As a person who, frankly, coached the Women's Casino Gauntlet match, produced that, and produced every Casino Gauntlet match that there's ever been in the history of Casino Gauntlet matches, I thought that the all-star tag matches, even having stars from Ring of Honor and AEW incorporated, made sense, and also helped further things in Ring of Honor, and some of that stuff in AEW and Ring of Honor would have gone differently. The injury, I did know going into this week, but I did make changes earlier in the week. We talked about making changes just in the last, probably 12 hours, 15, 12, working on it for 15 hours or whatever in the middle of the night. To make a good solution with making changes for the TNT Championship match. But speaking of the great TV titles, the Women's World TV Championship in Ring of Honor, Red Velvet, she's done a great job representing the company as a World TV Champion. She's gone to Arena Mexico and made a great impression, and really for a relatively new championship in the world of wrestling, the women's TV title is at a great profile. She's really helped raise the profile, being a great ambassador. That's something I really value, somebody who goes down to Arena Mexico, who's been a great partner for AEW, and to go down in there and put in a great shift, that's going to score huge points with me, and even really raise the prestige of the title I thought Red Velvet has. So I'm excited. I was disappointed that Red Velvet couldn't wrestle, but also it's the right thing to do because it seems like it hopefully could be a manageable injury. It's not going to be, years and years that she's going to be out or anything. We're eventually, hopefully, going to have a match. And if Mina Shirakawa can keep retaining the interim Ring of Honor World Women's Television Championship, I thought that was a fascinating thing to have Mina Shirakawa, who then was involved with the Ring of Honor World Champion Athena in the pinning sequence as Mina tried to put the figure 4 on and got caught with the O-face, which was an incredibly exciting way to have the match culminate. And interestingly enough, with the brand new interim Ring of Honor World Women's Television Champion getting pinned by the Ring of Honor World Women's Champion, who's held the belt for years, and was actually teaming with Red Velvet in the match she got hurt in against Persephone, who's another great wrestler who was in that match, and Thunder Rosa, who teamed with Athena in ROH, Thunder Rosa, who wrestled Athena in ROH, but also was in these tag team matches in AEW against Athena for weeks. I think that helped having the rivalries across AEW and ROH, being able to call them together when it makes sense. We saw Dustin Rhodes today as somebody who actually became a champion now in both ROH and AEW at the same time. That's happened before. It'd be interesting now with Athena having the right to challenge for a world championship. So we've done a lot of exciting things with ROH this year, but somebody who was in ROH even before I owned the company that I have a lot of respect for is Bandito. And to go back and look at what Bandito's done in recent weeks, he had this incredible match with Takeshita, but they've really built this rivalry. Takeshita put the challenge out at Global Wars Mexico after Bandito retained the title. Another one of the greatest matches, like I said, against Masquerade Dorada. One of the best tag team matches we've seen all year was Bandito and, like I said, Bandito and Hologram against, I loved the Bandito and Hologram against Masquerade Dorada and Mystico match, but I was also about to say that I really loved the Brody King and Bandito versus Protoshita, Takeshita, and Fletcher match on Wednesday. The six-man tag, I think, with Bandito and Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly against Young Bucks and Takeshita was absolutely fantastic. There's been a lot of great matches along the way in the Takeshita-Bandito rivalry, but Bandito, I think, all around is having one of the best years of any wrestler in the world. He's a great world champion, and he is somebody who's had a great week, but I think he's just having a great summer, one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, and he had a great match last night too, so I'd be remiss not to bring him up. And working with CMLL and having these great stars in AEW who are great Lucha Libre stars who are now also becoming, I think, fan favorites and being well received and respected stars in Arena Mexico. We're making huge progress there, and I'm very appreciative of the partnership and working with them. Thanks for asking.
Tony, I think we'll do 2 more so we can get our media to the post-show after party as well.
Oh, good.
Hi, Tony. Alex Lajas with Instinct Culture. Congratulations on tonight. Is there any update that you can share with us about the women's tag team titles?
Well, it's a great question. I think we've been having to it's unfortunately, like I said, I give a pretty nuanced answer. I have, if I had set a bracket out, I would have changed the bracket in the last few weeks several times. And it's been a lot of changes. One of the most valuable wrestlers in AEW and a great world champion has been a great example of this, Jamie Hayter, somebody I would love to have utilized today, somebody I would love to be featuring in the marketing of Forbidden Door in the UK, who's a great star in the UK, and would fit like a glove with the kind of great matches we've been having. And, we saw her get attacked by Tekla, who's been running roughshod. And that's one of the things I said. It's hard when you have a roster and we have great depth across the roster, and I think the depth of the women's division has continued to grow and get better and better, where we can sustain these injuries and put together something as ambitious as a great Casino Gauntlet match tonight, even missing some great names that might have been really great in the match but weren't necessarily available that I would have also liked to have gotten in addition to all the great people we incorporated. And we were able to tell all these great stories when you think about how many cool things there were in that match, whether it's Statlander and Megan Bain going back to their great matches, and maybe Megan Bain's had Stat's number at times. They both earned these spots and they were hitting each other hard, trying to get throw bombs at each other before all the other competitors got out there. And then Statlander's had this great rivalry with Willow. Willow's had some close calls. She's a former TBS champion, would be a great champion for any company, could be a great world champion, certainly would be a great challenger, and somebody who's really respected, great star by the locker room, and of course, revered by the fans. So many great stars throughout that match and rivalries. I mentioned Athena and Thunder Rosa had a rivalry that had encompassed AEW and, of course, in Ring of Honor, and had a great match last night, and they were both a big part of this match today, even down to the end. Some new arrivals with Alex Windsor, who we've been seeing videos week in, week out on AEW, saying she was going to arrive. Sherry, we saw last night at Supercard of Honor, said she's coming to ROH and AEW, but who knew it would be today? That was a fun surprise coming out of the great events from last night and international wrestling. I think the roster is growing, changing, so I'd like to get some stability, and that's really important coming out of this, but it's something I'm very interested in. Both tag team divisions had been hit for a time by injuries, and now I think we're doing more and more multi-person matches on television, and in this case going to a Casino Gauntlet match. He gave a different energy, and I was able to tell a lot of stories in this women's Casino Gauntlet match. I thought maybe the first time I did one on television, when Tony pulled it out, the rookie Tony with a small package in the first ever women's Casino Gauntlet match, which was also very special. That was a great match, but I think we've come even a long way since then. We're able to tell a lot of great stories, so I think we're heading in that direction. It's something I'm very interested in, and I think and then in a future Gauntlet match could add even more to stories, but also would have a great tag division where hopefully we can have great tag team matches up and down. I think there was great tag matches, certainly leading to that Gauntlet match, 8 woman tags, all-star 8 woman tags, and we've had some great tag team street fights, and we're building more units. There's been some changes to those. Harley's another great example. I did get Harley physically featured, but there's only so much she can do. She's limited from contact. Obviously, she's wearing that mask, but I did want to have Harley out there, and she got a great reaction. So it's just some examples of some of the changes I mentioned with Tekla attacking Jamie Hayter, and Jamie Hayter being out now for a long time. Queen Amanada has stepped up, and boy, as she made the most of her minutes. She had done really some great things in AEW and in ROH, and has been a top challenger in ROH. And has had some highlights in AEW, but I think probably the highlights of her wrestling career and definitely of her AEW run have been this rivalry she's really building, and the tension with Tekla, which we saw again tonight. Some interesting things, some debuts, a lot of great things, and we're building out the roster. But I want to have more great women's tag team matches, and in the men's tag team division, one of my focuses this year has also been trying to build that back up and get it back to, as 2025 is such a great year for AEW, I think it's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. The Young Bucks returned at Dynasty, and FTR have consistently been the greatest tag team. I think certainly every week on Collision, and along with the Young Bucks and the Briscoes, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I think, certainly you have to give it to FTR. Like I said, the Bucks have been back since Dynasty, and maybe better than ever. I thought that Swerve and Will Ospreay tonight, though, came together, 2 of the greatest single stars, and had one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen. And I'd be remiss if I didn't really spend some time talking about Swerve and Will Ospreay and the Young Bucks. Very different relationship with all 4 of them, but there's a part of me that would have to admit that after what happened to me on screen with the Young Bucks, that you'd be rooting for Swerve and Ospreay in that situation. But so many positive things over the years with the Young Bucks. I wouldn't be here without them, and the first person who really took the idea of AEW seriously was at first Matt, and then Matt put me on the phone with Nick, and that was literally 7 years ago, over 7 years ago. I think Matt and I talked for a long time. I want to say July 3rd of 2018 for like 30 or 40 minutes the night before the 4th of July, and that would be just over 7 years ago. And it really means a lot to think back to the very first AEW show. Young Bucks have had great tag team matches from the very beginning, and I think one of their best matches tonight, with very high stakes, was Ospreay and Swerve versus the Young Bucks. I would put it right there with Kenny and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, FTR versus the Young Bucks, some of the greatest matches ever in AEW's history, and some of the best tag matches I've seen. Really absolutely fantastic stuff. So I think there's a lot of great stuff happening in that tag division, trying to get that to be as strong as it's ever been, because when AEW is firing at its best, it really has been. So I think that's been a bright spot among all the bright spots in 2025, which, right now I think we're having, in so many ways, our best year. The positivity is just so high, and I appreciate all of you giving us a chance to come out and have these great shows, and also saying it. It's really fun to go out there every week when you continue having great shows, just like when you're winning games and you want to go to the next one, and it's really fun going to the next game. So 2025, we set a goal for this year, and so far the team keeps achieving the goals. Thank you. Is there one more?
Hey Tony, is there any clarity regarding the Casino Gauntlet winners as to how those title shots will be delivered? Like last year there was sort of a cash-in style, or will it be more standard this year?
Well, it's a great question. I think as with, I did give, to be fair, I did give a rules clarification up here going forward for the Unified Championship, and it's a great question. I appreciate you asking. I will be giving more clarity to that on the TV shows. Thank you for asking. Of course, last year with the Casino Gauntlet winner, that was the format, and it's been treated different times, different ways. If you remember the very first Casino Gauntlet match, going into Double or Nothing last year, we had in Daly's place, Will Ospreay won the first Casino Gauntlet match, and we knew then that he would be wrestling for the international title at Double or Nothing. And we had a set stake on it. Of course, last year it was a contract that he cashed in at any time. I'm going to sit with the winners, sit with the champion. I'm going to sit with the schedule, and I'm going to put some real thought into when I'm going to make those announcements. But I think there's a cadence that makes a lot of sense for this. But I think it would be safe to say that the challengers in this case, after MJF stepped up against such a talented field, frankly, and you have to give the devil his due, and Athena against one of the greatest groups of wrestlers and the first ever women's pay-per-view Casino Gauntlet match, I think they've earned some say when they cash these things in. So I will be making those announcements very soon. But thank you, sir, for asking. It's a great question. I know I mentioned it earlier, but I just wanted to thank you all. I really appreciate you all coming here. I hope if you were able to enjoy it as a fan, that's great, but I understand you're here for work, and hopefully you did like the shows. I really have had a great time, and I appreciate you all giving us this opportunity. If you didn't cover the shows week in, week out, we wouldn't have had this great platform, and certainly by talking about AEW All In week out, really every single week for months and months and months, we've addressed this and built it up, and thanks to you covering it, and thanks to the great staff working together to put this event on, it delivered, and it really was the huge event, the huge culmination of so many great moments that it felt like it was going to be. It really sets the stage for a great Dynamite, and certainly across Dynamite and Collision now in AEW. Sean, to your point, that's one of the many great questions that I will be addressing, and I do have a good plan for that. Thank you for asking that, and thank you everybody for being here today. I really appreciate you covering this. I tried to hopefully answer as many questions as I can while balancing that you all really want to get out and party here tonight. So thank you for covering this show. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you.